Yes, we can hear you.
We can hear you, sir.
Okay. All right. I think I'm sure four people can hear me. I'm not sure the other four people can hear me. Just to be sure everyone can. Oh, okay.
No,
All right. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining today's knowledge sharing session. This is a let me say this is a give back to the team and also to people outside Corporately Lucid, and just to talk about some of the to share our experience with how our creative journey has been, and also share knowledge about some them specific topics, and share insights on that to the team and also people outside Corporately Lucid. My name is Olaitan Ojedokun, and I'm the assistant art director in Corporately Lucid. And I'll just be talking today about. I'm trying to share my screen, so give me a minute. Okay, I think the host might need to give me access to share my screen.
Um, just hold on. Let me
Okay, all
do
right,
that. So,
all right, thank you. Yeah, so basically, what? Okay, okay, I'm trying to all right. Can everyone see my screen?
yes, sir.
yes.
Oh, thank you. Good, great, it's working fine. All right. So once I want to start, I would present. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to be talking about core design principles that has changed my design journey. And I think before we even go into the principles, the I will just give um, a brief, a brief talk about how I started designing, and some of the things that I've personally just looked into um, while while on the journey. And I started designing 2019. And so when I started, I intentionally asked a friend to share me all the design tools that existed that time. I would say 2019 there was no Canva yet, but I'm sure there was the Adobe softwares, and then CorelDRAW was very prominent. So I collected CorelDRAW and a couple of every other Adobe softwares that I could lay my hands on. And then I started practicing self-taught, watching YouTube videos and all that. And then I noticed that I got interested in like just one of the tools, and that was Adobe Illustrator. I used it for about 2 years or 2.5 years for all my designs, but my designs were good, but they had limits because there's limit to what a single tool can do as a designer. And then later I got I got to talk with one of my friends as well. Don't want to mention his name, but if he allows me, I will mention his name. All right, it was actually on this meeting. That's Mitchell. So he like mentioned that he opened my eyes to Photoshop, taught me a few things, and like, okay, this is a way to like also blend what you do on Illustrator with Adobe Illustrator with Photoshop, and then your designs come out greater. You have more depth in your design. You're able to do more stuff and all that. So I I did not uninstall Photoshop before, but it was not active. So I launched it again, and then I started using it as well. Then in a way, I shifted again to only Photoshop. Then I left Illustrator for a while again for maybe another 1 or 2 years. But eventually, on the journey, there were reasons for us to keep going back to the basics of designing. And by the time you go back to the basics, you find out that you need to be able to put a blend to the use of these tools together. and come out with great and appealing designs. And one thing that had helped me during the journey, aside the core principles that we'll be talking about today, I mean, there are things like looking out for inspiration outside or beyond my design niche. Maybe I'm very good at social media designs or poster designs or magazine designs. By the time I'm looking out for inspiration, um I don't keep myself to just that aspect of design. Can anyone still hear me? To be sure. I need to not make any. Can
Yes,
everyone
I
still
can
hear me?
hear
Yes,
you.
we can hear you. I can hear you.
Oh, okay, okay. Thank you. All right, so I look out for inspirations outside. I mean, of Google and to go to Pinterest, Instagram, Behance, Dribble, and all that. But I watch movies a lot, and I watch movies a lot. I play games, not a lot, but I do that sometimes. And then I give my sight to posters I see around my community. So if I'm on a trip, I I know there's this trend that if I'm on a trip or if I'm in a restaurant or wherever I find myself, I'm able to cite posters and designs I see. Or sometimes I can be in, for example, I was in Chicken Republic one day and I was just looking around. I saw the way they did the branding inside the room, and I was like, my head was already in another place on how to like come up with something around that. I didn't eventually do that, but then it just kept my design game going that way because I keep noticing anything color, anything creative, anything that has to do with shape and all those things around me, and that kept my design game or design journey going. Then I think what has brought me to even gone to this stage of being the assistant to the art director in Corporately Lucid is that I'm able to reflect on, I'm able to understand certain designs, and sometimes I just give thoughts to why is this design done this way. Like when I see some posters or when I see people design or even my design sometimes, just give me the thought that okay, what's the reason why I make this text bigger than the other text? Why did I give it this kind of color? Oh, it's a feminine event. Why did I choose to use pink or purple or light blue? Why don't I use brown or dark green? Or so some of those thoughts keep coming, some of those questions keep coming, and those things give visual appreciation to certain designs. And trust me, immediately there's a reason why you're doing certain things on in a creative, especially a poster or whatever it is that is coming out in the creative space, whether it is ugly to majority or whether it is not pleasing to the majority, because you have a reason behind it, it is interesting to them. I mean, it's not all the movies we watch, it's not all the movies we see their posters that we want to watch, but sometimes when people now, when someone explains, okay, I think I lost being the host.
Sorry,
So,
Olaitan, you can keep speaking. I want to try and fix something on the account.
all right, that's fine. So when someone
Yeah.
when someone explains something behind the poster, then it gives you more meaning. It gives you more interest. There was a year, I'm not sure. There's this Burna Boy album that came out one year, something about the giant of Africa or something. So I like the poster was everywhere, the house album everywhere. Then one day, one of the designers just like took the poster and I like explained some things on it and some things that I didn't even notice. And there's a way he zoomed in, and the image of, I'm not sure if it was exactly Burna Boy that was on that image right now. I don't know if there's anyone on this bit that is familiar with that poster I'm talking about. So that there's a giant image of Burna Boy, and then, or if you look at the shoulders of him, there are some people like they were placed on his shoulder, and the way they put the buildings and the house and everything shows that is basically the giant of Africa, what the poster was illustrating, and then every other person behind him and all the stuff. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, so yes, Twice as Tall was the title of the album. So when there was a meaning to the poster, I could relate more with why the design was done that way, and it became more interesting to me. Same way, every movie posters in a way communicate something directly. I mean, you can't see a movie poster that is supposed to portray action, only action, and then there is like maybe roses and just like a way of putting, and like let's say some Telemundo kind of theme on it. And you're wondering, the title of the thing is all action-based stuff, and then you're looking at it like you're not getting the meaning, you're not getting the meaning from the poster, but then somebody can come and like just give you a reason why this is this, that, and it becomes more interesting to you. So paying attention to design details also helped my design journey, and having a reason behind every design I do, and every effect added on the design, and all those everything on every poster just kept on adding as personal principles that has helped my design journey. And just to conclude that before we like go into the main core design principles that we're talking about today, is that I evolved, or I kept building my design game by observing inspirations anywhere I find myself: restaurants, on the street, billboards, magazine. There are times that I just pick up handbills because I just like what is on it and I just want to like study it later. Then paying attention to design details, why people do this, why I also do this. There are times, and then intentionally, I think I mentioned that earlier, intentionally adding design principles. I mean, always going back to the basics of design, the reason why alignment is needed, this is needed, emphasis, and all those things are needed. Always going back to them at one time or the other. There's no design in this world that will not be able to analyze based on the basics of the general basics of designs. And then just focusing on details, all those things elevated my design. And that's how I got to where I am today. And yes. So I hope everyone can still hear me. Hey.
So we can.
Yeah, we
All
can.
right.
You can share your screen.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm doing that. Can everyone see my screen? Can everyone see my screen? Once I press
Yes,
present,
yes,
I will not see
yes.
everybody's reaction again.
Yeah, we can
So
see it.
okay. All right. It's bigger now, right?
Yeah, full screen.
Okay. All right. So well, I'm just going to be talking about I don't know, the next few minutes. Talking about core principles of design. The funny thing is, by definition, to create any successful design piece or design art, we need to understand the rules that make it work. For every beautiful creative that we see out there, is because there are some principles and there are some rules that are behind it, and that's why it looks really nice. And design principles are basically the set of rules that designers use in order to create visually appealing work in an organized and functional way. Organized, neat, easy to read. Functional, it passes the message that we want it to pass, and it has the impact it needs to. Okay, thank you. All right. So basically, design principles are building blocks, fundamental guidelines that help create visually appealing and effective design. I think I just mentioned that. And the funny thing is, if you search the internet, there are so many principles of design. I mean, I just like listed a few here, and I think I also listed a few that I would like to specifically talk about as much as we can. So most of them are um, intertwined, like they work hand in hand. Some of these principles lead to another, why some cannot exist because some other ones exist. So there's alignment, there's contrast, there's emphasis, balance, hierarchy, consistency, repetition, typography, proportion, white space, movement, and reading. There's so many others. If you go online, you see 12 principles, 7 principles, 6 principles, 10 principles, and so on. But we're just going to be picking a few today. And by chance, if we by times, maybe in another month or some other month from now, some of my other colleagues will be able to talk about the other nice principles that were. So I think I will just start with white space. Reason why I picked white space is it's a very I wouldn't say dicey, but it's a very important principle that has its trend. I don't think it has ever gone out of trend. It's always trending. White space, negative space, and all that at one time or the other. So basically, white space as don't forget whatever we're talking about today is a principle in principle to design, and what it does is to make us create virtually pleasing work. They are like just building blocks that we put together to make design come out great. So whatever we talk about, just link it back to using it to create a nice design. Don't worry, I have a lot of poster samples on the presentation that we'll look at, and we'll be able to see how to apply. Can everyone see? And I think I'll just keep asking once in a while. So please, some people can just respond so that I'm sure that
Yes,
you
we
can
can
see
hear
me.
you.
You know, this is Nigeria. Me, I'm using MTN sha. Can anyone still hear me? So please, some people should respond so that I'm sure.
Yes, I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay. I'm not sure anybody. I didn't get any response, so I'm not sure if you can hear me.
We
Are
can.
you sure your mic is
Okay,
okay?
yes,
hear
we
you.
can.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, we
So
can
that
hear
it's
you.
not like the next 1 hour I'm still speaking and MTN is already taking me out of the meeting. All right. You can use the reaction on Zoom as well, so we have a good time. All right. Right. So white space. White space is simply the empty space or the unmarked areas between and around a visual element on a design, such as text, shape, and other design components. The funny thing is, it doesn't have to be a white colored space because when we say white space, what comes to our mind is like this white part of this design. I should have made this in a different color. So what comes to our mind is the white part of a design and all that, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a white space, but it's basically any space that is not occupied by content. And the reason why we have white space on design is to give generous breathing room on a design. And the key perception of separating and giving clarity is, excuse me. So the key to white space is the perception of separation and clarity, and not just the absence of content. You know, we defined it as the empty space on a design. So it's beyond that. It's not just like having empty space. So there are some things that white space does on a design. So if we can successfully use white space on a design, what it does is it guides the user's eye naturally to engage on a design. We're going to check some samples like later on into the presentation, and we'll see how it just directs our eyes to certain information on the design because there is enough breathing room on a design. So whenever we're designing at part time, not all designs. I mean, if you take a look at take for example newspaper. Well, how far does anyone here still read newspaper? Hey, let me catch the 1960 people here. If you are here and you still read newspaper, please raise your hand. Okay, can anyone still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I actually don't even see it around anymore. I don't know.
Somebody, so you that are raising your hand, do you still read newspaper or is that why you're doing tons of? Hey, okay. All right. So if you take, I just want to be sure that people can hear me. You can give me a feedback because I can only see one person
We can hear
reacting.
you.
Oh, thank you. All right. So if you take a look at newspapers, there's a way they use white space. They can't necessarily just make everything empty and then all the text or all the news and information is just at the center, and then there's so many space on the newspaper. They won't do that. But then you will see how even newspaper use white space. So there's like two types of white space, and there's micro white spacing and macro white spacing. So micro white spacing is small scale spacing like normal letter spacing, line spacing, padding inside components and all that. I mean, the reason why you could read this that I've written here clearly is because there's just a little space between each of the lines, and that's the normal letter spacing. Then even directly from between S and M, there's a little space. Those are micro white spacing, and it just makes us to read and engage on designs much better. Then there is the macro white spacing. This has to do with margins, gutter, space between large sections. And this is the type of spacing. This is like type of major spacing that a newspaper or a magazine would use. So they give space in between text and elements on the design and on the banner. So as creatives, one of this principle helps us to enable grouping, clarity in delivering information on designs. That's what white space does. So take for example, can we see this clearly? Let me. All right. Yeah, can we see this clearly? Thumbs up or voice.
Yes, sir, we can.
Good. Yeah, good. So this looks more like the kind of white spacing that a newspaper or like an advert would use. And if you look at both this thing, this has a bit of white spacing, but then it looks like it's not enough. It looks like the text and elements on it are all zoomed in and like really um big and filling up the space. Then I made a little adjustment here and just added a little white spacing, extra white spacing everywhere, and it looks um it looks better. I mean, the design can have some more breathing space, reduce the size of some text, moved gave a bit of more space in between the elements and all that, and it gave the design more breathing room, and that's what white space does. And in a way, I'm able to focus on a group of information per time. When I look at this, it looks like I'm seeing all the information at the same time. Like the same way I'm seeing marks is the same way I'm seeing $200 reward. Is the same time I'm seeing contact us and all that. But when there's a little when white space is used effectively and in a smart way, I'm able to read certain information, group of information per time. I mean, when I look at this, I like immediately see have you seen marks? Then my eye goes gradually to the reward. I'm very sure before I even read anything about marks, I'm seeing the reward. Then I'm calling the contact, and that's what white space does. And it just then before I even go back to seeing the date that the missing news was released and all that. So that's what the principle of white space does. Take a look at this as well. This has a little bit of white space, like I said, but then it still looks like everything is at a glance. I'm seeing everything because there's little breathing space on the design. Then a little adjustment to that, giving it some space and allowing every element on it to breathe. It makes it more easier. It controls what I see per time. Like, okay, I like see the most. I tend to see either the time or the color is the emotion in every frame text, but because they have higher hierarchy than the others, then I tend to see the image next before I even see the set of text there. And this could be effective because white space was used in a smart way. This as well, look at this design, this Coca-Cola advert, and this doesn't have any text, it's straight to the point, but immediately you look at it, the white space around the poster directs the user's eye to the image on it immediately. Before you even see open happiness and Coca-Cola, you're just having it just directs you to the image. And likewise, there's enough room, and can use this for other principles of design later on, but I can come back to that. So yeah, can you still hear me? Are we good?
Yes,
Yeah, we
I'm
can
good.
hear you.
Yeah, good. Thank you. All right, so let me just keep running. So another principle of design that has helped my design game is alignment. And basically alignment helps to solve how objects in designs are grouped, implying that they have a relationship and therefore they can be understood together. Take for example, there's a set of 6 people around a table. If 3 people are sitting together, 2 people sitting close together, and then one person is sitting alone, we can easily assume that the 3 people are like, if you're not close to them, when you look at them from afar, immediately you see 3 people together, you can assume that, oh, okay, these people are like related in a way, like they have a mutual relationship. Then the 2 people seated together as well. Then this person sitting alone, you're able to just understand how what relationship is implied in between all those group of people, and that's what alignment does. Alignment keeps our design neat and balanced. Using alignment points helps to organize text, image, and elements in a clear and structured way. So there's the general overview of alignment, the left alignment, justify, center alignment, right alignment, and all that. Then if you look at this set of shape rather, so there's a way the square is aligned with the circle, the same here. But immediately you got here, there's a distort. And it brings, like, once you look at it, you're like, okay, what's going on here? This doesn't look organized. Like, why is everybody this way and then you are standing this way? If you remember, let me take us back to 2000. Let's go back to 2004. Yeah, can everyone see him?
Yes, I'm
Yeah,
good.
Yeah. So if you remember going to assembly, maybe in primary school, let's use primary school for example, and then while we're on the assembly ground, we're asked to like line up according to our classes, and then we're supposed to be on a straight line, right? There's this. Let's use the word wicked. There's this wicked teacher that is always walking in between the lines to see somebody that is not that's not aligning with everybody. And once you see that your own leg is outside than the others, is either you just get pancreas on your leg, or you just come out as the scapegoat for that entire assembly and all that. So that's what alignment does. It makes things look disorganized. And you see, in a way, we can even put alignment and balance together. I mean, when everything is balanced, it gives alignment on design. For example, there's a poster and then everything. I don't know if I have the example yet. There's a poster and everything is, let me see if this can. Imagine everything on this blue Coca-Cola flyer now. Imagine everything, maybe this text that has E, blah, 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 is taken to the left side and everything is aligned on the left side, right? But there's nothing on the right side and Coca-Cola remains in the middle. At first glance, it looks aligned though, right? Everything is aligned to the left. The picture is in the middle, but it looks like it's not going to be balanced because it looks like the weight on the design is all on the left side. Then there's nothing on the right side. So some ways when creative looks at that and they want to make an adjustment, they either make the Coca-Cola picture bigger to fill up some percentage of this latter right side to give a balance to the design, and just putting a merge between alignment and how it also affects some other principles. Like I said when we started that, some of these principles work together. Yeah. So so this example, we'll check other poster examples later. So now let's go to the principle of hierarchy. Is very important. Principle of hierarchy and movement. I put a merge to it because when there's hierarchy, it gives movement to the highs. It just helps the user to relate with the flyer, and in a way where it controls how the user will engage with a design or a creative. So hierarchy shows the importance of different elements on your design. You can create hierarchy using the size, the color, the weight, spacing, and placement. This helps guide the viewers through the design. So as okay, I thought I had a sample. So basically, if there's a poster and then you want something to be important, sometimes the title on a poster might not be the most important. You might want your time or the date. Maybe the date is very sensitive, or it's a date that you assume a lot of people will easily miss. Then you make the you make the size of the date like bigger or bolder than every other thing, or you give it a kind of color that makes it um, look important than every other element on a design. So that's how hierarchy and movement work. When we see some examples later on, we'll be able to put hierarchy and movement together. Yeah, so we've talked about white space, we've talked about alignment, a bit of spacing, then we've talked about hierarchy. So now let's talk about emphasis. Emphasis is also a principle of design, and it really works hand in hand with hierarchy. Like I said, hierarchy points to the most important element on a design. This very similar to what emphasis does. So emphasis tells the viewers where to look first. So to get the viewers' attention to a very specific design element. So some of the ways we can make do of hierarchy of emphasis, excuse me, is using contrast, movement, and white space. These are techniques that we use to add emphasis, and then we can also use color, size, or placement, and they can be used to draw attention to important parts of design. Can everyone still hear me before I go ahead, so that I'm sure that people are
No,
still?
it's not.
Oh, cool. Thank you. All right. So if you look at this, okay, that's too much. All right. If you look at this, then you were able to, even though we have more number of the yellow colored circle, do you know that we are still able to immediately pick that the green colored circle is the most important here, even though it's just one? Am I right? Can anyone agree with me? Abi, it's just my eyes.
Yes.
All right, thanks. So that shows how emphasis works. So when it comes to a poster, take for example, why is this thing? Okay, take for example this poster. I think, not sure. I just downloaded this online, and I think this is a book. This is the cover of a book, and if you look at the head, there's so many scribble of the human head here, but there's one that is standing out, and it just emphasizes, like it just brings emphasis to that. Immediately you look at that, there's so many other things on the book cover, but at a glance, what you see first, I'm telling you, is that red head that is facing the other side, and it's because they have used they've used movement and they've used color to place emphasis on this. And yeah, so not sure why I added this flyer yet, but then I think I was going to talk about movement here. Look at this book poster as well. There's a way the poster directs us to look at the poster from the bigger picture, laying emphasis on this bigger picture before the image of the boy that is running here, and that's how emphasis and hierarchy works. Okay, it's hierarchy I wanted to talk about. That's why I added this. So there's a way the size of the bike is so big that it takes so much of my attention. I believe it does that for every other person that engaged with this flyer, and it now directs. There's a way it just directs us to look at the flyer, the poster from top to bottom diagonally, just naturally, and that's how that principle has worked on this design. So yeah, so I'll go to the next principle I have here, and that's the principle of contrast. And contrast is also very important. I mean, we discovered that it was this poster book cover. We were able to achieve this because we used a couple of other principles. The emphasis rule, the movement rule, and also contrast. Because if this red colored human head scribble is also in blue like the others, we might not quickly identify it. Those are the why they play games of identify the difference, blah blah blah. You see that they don't put contrast on such. They ensure that they have too much similar colors so that we will not be able to identify the difference. But what contrast does is it gives, yeah, we're here. So it gives contrast means using difference to make important elements stand out. So using opposite light and dark colors, big and small size, shapes, thick and thin, font size, those are contrast forms, and they make certain elements stand out. Actually, contrast make design interesting, and it's used to add emphasis or a focal point on a design. I mean, we talked about that earlier. So take for example, this is how contrast works. So imagine this pink part has this pink over half circle shape as well. We're not going to be able to pick out that there's a half shape on it. And imagine this blue part has the the blue color as well. We won't be able to identify that. So that's what contrast does. Then sometimes while we are design, there's a way you are able to achieve contrast by changing the color, like I shared earlier on the other poster. So that's that about contrast. So yes, let's talk about balance. I think I mentioned balance a bit earlier, and balance is basically how visual weight is spread across a design, either symmetrically or asymmetrically. We're going to see that on the next slide, how what the difference is. So like I said earlier, you can't put all the details or all the elements on a poster or on a creative on one side and leave the other side empty. It's definitely not, even though it's just a poster. I mean, the normal way weighing scale works is that there has to be physical elements on it to be able to show the weighing scale and how it's balanced or not. But a poster, it mentally gives that weighing scale in our head. When we as users, when we engage with certain posters, if all the elements are on one side, then we feel like it's not balanced. So how to positively use balance is by positioning text, image, and graphic elements carefully, along with the use of spacing, negative space, and this creates a harmonious look. So take for example, this is symmetrical balance, and this follows the same template, right? But this doesn't follow the same template, but it's still balanced. Because take for example, if I take this out, I mean, if I take the circle out here and I take the square out here, then it begins to look not balanced. So what balance does to design as well is that it makes it interesting and it makes it look good. For a physical example of let me see, if it's a physical example of let me say this balance thing is, take for example, let's look at the sports day in a secondary school, a school, and there's like 4 different colors. There's the green house, the red house, the blue house, and the yellow house. They are, by the time they all line up for parades and you have a look at everyone, maybe from an area view or something, you get to see that there's a balance, because there's supposed to be 4 houses, and then each house will be arranged according to their colors, right? But immediately we have like maybe we have like a black house in between, and you were not expecting a black house, and then you see some students wearing black, and then maybe in between the red and the blue house, and you have a glance at it again, then you figure that, oh, this doesn't look balanced. I mean, I'm supposed to see 4 colors, and then I'm seeing this. So that's how balance works in creating. So when you are creating, and then there's a way you're already using your elements that gives it balance. So this is beyond the arrangements now. This is now when a creative is supposed to make an impact, and then there's an odd use of an element that doesn't fit what we are working on, then it doesn't actually make it balance at the same time. So All right. So this is just an example of, can everyone see me? Can
Yeah.
everyone see? Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. These are just two posters to illustrate balance. And if you look at it, you see that indeed the poster is depicting balance, and it shows it shows how the elements are arranged in a balanced format. Then when there's a bit of other elements were added, I mean this flower, this mat, and this the image on the second samples are different, but there's a way the design still gives the balanced look. Imagine there's just one element on this side and there's two elements on this side. Immediately you glance at it, it looks like it's not balanced. So those are ways to effectively use the principle of balance on design. So all right, so let's go on. We're almost done. All right. So another principle that wait, let's have a quick test run. Do I have anyone that can give a list of all the principles we have talked about so far? Do you have someone? Do you have anyone that can give a quick list of the principles we have talked about so far? So I know that we're all on the same boat and you guys can hear me. Anyone? Hey, somebody
You talk
typing.
about hierarchy, you talk about balance.
Okay. I can hear you.
Movements, hierarchy,
Alignment,
balance,
white space,
white.
emphasis,
Hierarchy.
Thank you. Thank
contrast.
you guys. How can I clap for everybody on this talk? No, I can't react. Thank you. That shows that everyone is on track. Thank you for that feedback. All right, so let me just get on with it so we can up quickly. So the next principle we're talking about is consistency. And some people use the word repetition, some people use the word reading for this principle. Consistency means using the same color, font, image style, and spacing throughout a design. And this creates a unified look, making it easier to navigate and customize, especially in a multi-page document. I believe consistency also works and forms a pattern for brand strategy or brand look. For every brand, you see the way they make use of consistent colors. Some go ahead to make use of consistent fonts. Some go ahead to make use of consistent image style, and that's what consistency does on heading design. So beyond a single static design, consistency extends beyond that. So for every brand system that we have, take for example MTN. MTN cannot suddenly come and give us a green colored background and then put the MTN logo on it and says everywhere we go, we'll halt in a big glow done by MTN or what's going on. So that's what consistency does. It gives unified look throughout. It gives you a unified look every time a user engages with the creative or with that brand. So take for example, we talked about using image style, spacing throughout your design. That's consistency. So if you look at this poster here, at a glance, you will see that there's consistency. Number one, there's a number text on each of the columns rather, and then there's an image on each column, and then there's text on each column. That's consistency on this particular flyer. And you see that the date, the month is the placement of the month is also consistent. I mean, this month, April is placed this way. If May is placed a different way, then that distorts the goal of consistency on this poster. Then if you look at this as well, what is consistent here is the elements that were placed around. And yeah, by that I was going to say that consistency and repetition also creates pattern. So this serves as a pattern for the background of this mango flyer. And then look at the way I don't know what exactly but the cube shape of the fruit here, and then the leaf gives a pattern to the background there. That's how consistency principle is used on design. So yeah, so we're getting to the end of this, and we basically how to apply all these principles. I mean, if you go back to like the page that has all the list of the principles, yeah, this one. We were able to talk about alignment, contrast, emphasis, balance, hierarchy, consistency, or repetition. We didn't really talk about typography. Proportion, in a way, it's very related to hierarchy. We talked about white space, movement, and reading. So there are so many more if you check online. So um how to apply this is that we never have to we never have to follow all this pattern every time. So what I mean is explore and own your own creativity. But every time, make sure that the design is clean, easy to understand, and readable. And have a mindset to make interesting designs. And by interesting designs, it means that you definitely have to have thought about what you are about to design before you go ahead to do it, and place reasons to why you use certain elements on the designs. What can make us place reasons to these things are the principles that we have talked about. So because when you apply a principle, that's it, like you are able to confidently talk to the designer. Oh, the reason why I did this is because the background color is dark. I definitely can't use a dark colored text. I have to use a bright color text, and that's how as contrast on this design. Or why I did this, why I use a dark color is because I want the text information to not be so visible. So if there's a dark background, then I use another dark text, but just a bit had a bit of saturation to it so that it shows a bit, but it's not as bright as it should, because I intended to hide the information. Those are ways to place reasons to why you do certain things on design. And just make sure you explore, own your creativity. So many principles of design that when you bring them together, they definitely come up with great um, posters and creative design. So I think going forward, I think I just have a bit of creatives that we have, and I don't know if you can have quick engagement and look at some of these posters and see how some of these principles have been used, or in our minds, you can just look at it and like see um how the principles could have been used better. Can everyone see me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, good. Thank you. Yeah, so these are some of the creative that are done by designers on the Corporately Lucid team. And having a glance at this, you see that there's a there's balance actually, because um there's balance and there's a bit of hierarchy. Though by the time at first glance I'm able to see the team, like I mean the girls and boys summer team, and then this team, because I know the size to me looks almost alike. So but that could be the intention of the poster. I mean, they want me to see what the poster is about and the theme of the event. Then gradually my eyes just goes to the days, because those ones are bold, and then I'm able to see the register link as well. And then the overall design just looks really nice and colorful, because the right use of color here shows that it's playful, it's somehow it treats time, bright colors, sunny and all, and then it's for teenagers, and so it's so bright and just good. And if you look at the and the next poster here, you see that there's balance, and then the designer was able to group the elements together. For example, at first glance, I'm able to read the theme and the welcome to the month before I even like read how have a blessed month. Then I engage on the social posters and all. And then I noticed that whenever and then it was able to use hierarchy on that as well. I mean, it made the radiating cross so as the overall background of the whole poster. And before I even there's a way I'm able to just put a blend to everything that this poster is talking about. So yeah, excuse me. These are also nice designs that have been that were done by creatives on the Corporately Lucid team, and you notice that there's always the use of alignment. There's always the use of alignment, both the center alignment and this. And if you look at this, if I'm not sure, okay, is this supposed to? Oh, okay. I'm trying to see if you draw a line across this horizontal and vertically, you are able to see that there is balance on the design. I mean, the elements are not all on one side and on one side, are not falling on just one side. There's balance on the design. What we would say that the that was not really there's white space, but then it still looks like um everything is everything is present on the design and nothing is the white space is not enough, but then it's an excellent design as well because the balance on the design is able to use the principle of balance on its design on this as well. I'm going to check my time. Oh, okay. 5 minutes more. All right. So this I saw this poster as well randomly online and just a bit just try to make use of different principles on this as well. And you see the first sample here is a bit clustered and most of the elements are like fused together. We're not able to like direct or move what we want to see first. We just get to see everything at once. But then a bit of adjustment when the cup and the title text were moved together, and then there's a more space between that and the subheading. So we get to like see the title and the image first before we like move to the subheading and then every other details as such. So there's the use of white space, hierarchy, and also alignment principle on this poster. And I think the third one there was the use of contrast on the highlights of 50% just to like bring our notice to that immediately. I mean, on this one, it doesn't really bring our attention to it because of the color usage, but then immediately the color was switched. You can easily excuse me, identify that and then these are just creative posters online and the use of repetition, the height blocks on this and hierarchy, how the image was the most important thing on this design. At first glance, what you see is the image coke, and then you just relate with the poster as such, and then the information is passed. This as well speaks about the principle of balance, and you just notice that this is the type of line I was trying to draw on that at every box from this grid pattern, there are elements in each of the box. None of the boxes is feeling left out. So that just gives balance and alignment to the poster. So in conclusion, before like I allow maybe room for questions and other discussions. In conclusion, by applying any of these principles, we can ensure that our designs are aesthetically pleasing and accessible and impactful. Ultimately, it contributes to the success of our design. There's no how that, whether we are aware of it or not, there's no how we make a design or a creative and we don't engage with any of these principles that we've talked about earlier. So you just notice that by engaging more with these principles, you notice that we start seeing balance in everything. We start appreciating how contrast has been used to grab our attention, and then we see how white space has subtly directed our eyes to the core message on the poster and all that. So by engaging and intentionally making use of these principles, part time, you just notice that whenever you engage or whenever you're about to work on any creative project, you have reasons you have reasons why you had certain elements of design and why you use certain colors, why you use certain fonts, why certain fonts are bigger, why certain images are bigger than the other and all that. So there's just a food for thought question over here. Is there any design principle you can't do without? Does anyone want to answer for us? Before, can anyone still hear me? All right. So just think about it. Is there any design principle that you can't do without at every creative you engage with or you create? You definitely just have to make use of certain. I think mine is alignment. I mean, I don't just like seeing things um not aligned or not balanced. Once I see something not in the same alignment with others, I just feel somehow and all that. So, but then just by the way, you just think about that, and by reason of having answers to that, it shows that you have always been engaging with one of this principle or the other. And so, yeah, come to the end of this knowledge sharing session. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And I think I'll just give room for questions or contribution. Yeah, thank you. And I think I would also like to thank Corporately Lucid for the privilege to um, facilitate this session. That was really challenging and was a good one. So thank you so much, Corporately Lucid, for this opportunity. Yeah. So does anyone have any comment, any question, anything you'd like us to talk about before we end?
Okay, I think I have a question.
All right. I don't know who's speaking.
Hi. Hi, Shat.
Oh, okay.
Right. So thank you for the presentation. Was enlightening. So actually you can break some of the rules, the hierarchy, balance and things like that. Are there times when you don't have to use them? Like maybe you are trying to pass on a message in a different way. Where is the safe? Like how safe can you be when you don't want to use a particular? I mean, you know that there's supposed to be hierarchy, but you are doing that, intentionally to pass across the message. Can you give such examples?
Okay. How do I answer? So because what I would say is I know we're trying to pass an information and we generally just don't want to make use of the principle. But we know that at the end, by the time the creative comes out, we end up linking a principle with that. Oh, what we actually did was this. So I'm trying to think of an example. So I think let me use movie posters or like posters that have imagery as the emphasis on the design than any other element on it. So take for example, let's say it's a scary movie poster. The message they want to pass across is that scary feel. I mean that this movie is scary, and then a larger percentage on that design already like is already explained with the image, because there are sometimes then the title might just be maybe it's A1, and then it might just be like written faintly on on the whole poster, but then the imagery that has been used already speaks and passes the message, and then it already has the impact on the viewer. So I think that's a way to like because by the time you use an image on it, it doesn't exactly it doesn't exactly make us use the hierarchy and some of these principles. It just like really passes the message from the image that we use. So I think that's the answer I have to that. I can see Michelle's hand is raised, but did I answer the question, ma? Or is that clear?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Michelle, you can go on.
So yeah. What I wanted to say was that so the principles, each of the principles that Olaitan has spoken about are an integral part of designing, which means they're like, whether you like it or not, you're still going to use one or two of them. And there are a lot. So you may not even remember everything when you are designing. Even sometimes you may not even remember anyone. But if you've learnt it by heart, you would use them without even knowing. There are some of them that you can't do without. So, for example, if we were to do a flyer, obviously one text has to stand out, which is most likely the important part of it. For example, now you want to do a flyer or that says, come and register for NIN. Of course, the biggest text there would be register for NIN, then followed by its subtext that gives more detailed explanation about that registration. By doing that, you've already used the concept of hierarchy because you've placed one text, you've given one text more priority than another text. So using all the principles are not important, but you need to understand how they work to be able to design flyers that are professional and usable. There are designers that actually break all of these rules that don't. So I don't have an example at hand, but you might have seen some flyer where the text, in CL most times, if your text is too close to the edge of the design, will tell you to move it a little bit so that you can give some margin. But some really, really good designers can place text exactly at the edge of the design. In fact, the text will not even be fully visible because it's cutting off at the edge. That's not a mistake. They did that intentionally because that was like the concept they are going for. But you won't see that, even at first glance, you won't see that as a mistake because they've implemented the concept so well that it is the implementation is perfect. So for you to be able to break these rules, you first need to understand how they work and how they work in hand with each other. It's not compulsory to use everything, but whether you like it or not, as far as you are designing, whether flyer, whether website, video, you will be using some of these concepts like alignment, hierarchy, contrast, because you don't want to use yellow text on a white background. It will not work. Balance. You don't want a design where the image is overshadowing the text, then you're not really passing any information. Also, you don't want to use text where everything is jumbled up on the canvas. It won't really work. So white space is already used. So that's what I have to say about that. It's not compulsory to use everything, but it is like an underlining um, concepts that guides how we design anything. So if you know them very well, you'll be able to break them at any time. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Yeah, does any other person have I thank you, ma'am. Does any other person have any question, observation, or general trending comment on these principles that you've noticed and can quickly talk about in the next few minutes? Anyone? All right, great. I like excellent students. I'm happy that everyone is able to understand and like understand what we've talked about today. I think one thing that I wanted to like mention briefly was how how this trend of simplicity, I mean simple designs, trying to use the exact word I keep seeing online, but there's this trend of simple design and like having
Minimal design.
yes, a minimalist design, and I think it's a bit the design is a bit selfish to hold on to white space more, because you just end up seeing a lot of empty space on certain designs that have such. And but I think most times as creative we all know that some of these things, like Michelle was saying, that some designers break some of these rules and not, and sometimes it's because of the interest of the clients or interest of the person you're designing for. I mean, you might want to design something minimal, very nice, and then the person is like, "There's so much space. I want every space to be used. I bought the whole artboard, and I want all my artboard to be filled with something and all that." So those. I think that's also a um that could be a challenging topic or comments to like talk about, or why how best can we um how best can we then relate, okay, the ideas we have that we're sure and certain that is meant to um pass the message and have the effect on clients or like interest of people we're working for, and also like embed what they want that we are seeing that is not going to really work, and put it together and then come out with something better. So those are things that we can talk about. Like think about as well. Talk about. I know a lot of these are online. People say that people are giving comments on that as well, and there's just a lot of talk around that. So just a way to you have the way you want to make use of the design principles to make a design come out nice. The client has what they have in mind and what they want, and unfortunately, most time what they want breaks the rules of the principle. So, how to put a balance to that? How to um, fix that in between the creative and the clients as well. So, I think that was what I was just going to share briefly. All right, thank you everyone for coming for to the knowledge sharing session. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you, Corporately Lucid, for the privilege to do this. I had a good time. I'm very sure every other person also had a great time sharing this knowledge together. I, Mr. Samuel, thank you. I think I'm done. Thank you.
Really enjoyed your session, and it was impactful and insightful as well. Thank you very much. Without any further ado, we will round up the session now, and we can get access to the assets in our emails, and we can also visit the YouTube channel later on to rewatch the video as well. Thank you, everyone. Let's have a great day at work. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.